Right, hello and welcome to the EPROM 9. Yes, I've been rather absent recently, but hey, that's life, isn't it? Lots of assignment work to do. And there's still plenty more to do, so you can expect a bit more of this absence-ness. Over the course, my subscription list has gotten out of hands with videos I haven't watched because I just haven't had the time. And I've done all I'm doing today, so why not do a little quick video? Well, quick and video never really go together with me, but hey. So today's topic I want to discuss modern gaming, and maybe get into a bit of discussions on my first impressions of Dead Space 3, which are mostly positive. But there are a few negative aspects. Because I got that for my birthday. So, someone's out in the hallway. And it's too hot in here again. But yes, modern gaming. I mean, the PS4 has recently been announced, but they didn't really tell you anything you didn't really already know. They didn't show the hardware, they didn't say whether it's going to have these particular horror features, like whether they're going to be implementing that anti-use games patented technology, which I can pretty much guarantee they've implemented it. It's just when they activate it. Are they going to activate it on launch, or are they going to draw a few suckers in, then activate it, and then people have brought the console screwed over? I don't trust the way it's going, because for a few years now, thankfully not too many, there's been a real anti-use games thing on the market. And that extends back to corporations such as Games own business practices where they refuse to make any sort of deal like with a used game. They then pull off some of the profit to go back to the developer. They just outright refused, and in fact were holding the developers by the balls, which is once again basically bad business practice. Has led to this whole anti-used games thing. And I hate how YouTube automatically throws this image into widescreen, even though this is a 4.3 aspect ratio camera. Fucking YouTube. But I could rant all day about YouTube and how it's completely and utterly broken, like the messaging so-called update. The message system is completely and utterly buggered and useless. Fantastic. But yes, they may fix it this century, they may not. I wouldn't put your hopes up. But yeah, so, and well, what they did, the potential of someone taking over your game could be quite interesting. But the thing is with that, if it just automatically does it, it's going to be annoying if Sir Jim Bob has taken over your game just because you have died a few times. I like a challenge. I don't mind dying a few times. A game that's brutal isn't a bad game. It's just difficult, and it takes a few practices to get through. God, how many attempts did I make to get through Turrican, and God, Super Mario Land on bloody Game Boy Color. Spent years trying to beat that one. But yeah, and the whole thing of recording, that's good if you can save it externally to your own device or retrieve it back from the cloud, because that would make reviewing games really easy, because you haven't got to worry about plugging in any capture devices or any of that crap. Basically, you can just take the video, put in the video editor, do the voiceover, sorted. Clip it up and all that malarkey. Lovely. If they implement it like that, that'd be fantastic, because that would make it so easy for reviewers of the console. The hardware looks like they're going to release it, and it's going to be roughly about sort of PC spec grade on the graphics, which, yeah, the graphics increase, as has been said, is not going to be absolutely amazing, which makes me wonder, is there much point releasing another generation of consoles, especially when it comes down to this economy? Because you look how the Nintendo 3DS has sold. Yeah, it's selling units, but not amazingly. The Nintendo WIIU, I refuse to call it by that stupid name, has sold absolutely abysmally and is not picking up. And with Sony announcing we're going to release Gran Turismo 6 on the PS3 and not the PS4 is a bad move, because, well, the kind of thing that sells hardware is the software you put on it. And if you don't put any software worth buying on the hardware, it's really not going to sell. And if they don't get their act together after a year, especially Nintendo, with the sales of their console, I can see that one being a flop. If they haven't sorted it out after a year, they're going... I can see Nintendo going the way of Sega, and inevitably, like a lot of the old original gaming companies, where they just literally phase out and cease to exist. To be frankly honest, I'm surprised Sega is still going. Atari's gone now. Activision... Is Activision still going? Because I know Call of Duty has been taken off them. Because Activision were pretty much around at the beginning. Made some of the best games for the 2600. There aren't many companies that survive the full... be about getting close to 40 odd years of gaming now. And of course, yeah. And then you have things like SimCity, which have always online DRM. That did not please me. That is just like, yeah, and with that sort of way, with the way it's going, lots of rumours for the next generation, it's not looking good. It's looking like you're going to have to boycott consoles, and your only chance are the freeware developers, because Steam isn't really an option for me, because Steam is just DRM with a fancy client which runs like a pig on every system I've tried it. It's slow, it takes, yeah, it's better than it used to be, but yeah, it wasn't as that. Yeah, that isn't saying much, because when Steam first came out, oh, it was horrible, it was evil, and it should have bloody died. So PC gaming, anything on Steam, not for me, unless it's like 99p in one of their sales. Don't spend any significant amount of money, because it's just DRM up the arse. That's what Steam basically is. With my most favourite and annoying error being, offline mode is currently unavailable. Cannot connect to Steam servers. Why the bloody hell is it called offline mode if it needs to connect to internet? Then of course you get the usual, like, game is currently unavailable. It's on the hard drive, which is plugged directly into the motherboard, processor, RAM, which is all currently running the Steam client. So, tell me exactly why it isn't unavailable. And it's just things like that that never fail to annoy me. Steam is horrible, and I hate it. And I always will hate it. And I still consider... I'm not even sure it's a good idea that's badly implemented. It's just kind of like, well, a bad idea badly implemented? There's aspects to it which have advantages, like everything in one place, but that's why you have a desktop or quick start menus kind of. everything in one place. And it's just things like that. Well, with the way the consoles are going, I'm not impressed with the way Mum agrees with me. It's just like, get out of it. Don't go through with it. It's like, yeah, just stick to exclusively retro, and I don't have anything exactly retro to hand that does gaming, because the BBC and that is all out of arm's reach, and the Atari ST is too, which is down there and you can't see where I'm pointing, so it's completely pointless. But yeah, modern gaming is not going down a path I like. The only hope is like the odd freeware releases like Nitronic Rush, which will be my remedies, which you can don't have DRM and you can back them up and install them on as many computers as you like without all this online activation malarkey. I mean, I had no problem with the CD keys that you get on the back of Half-Life. I have no problem with this kind of DRM, a CD key on the back of a game. That is fantastic! It makes it so the game isn't infinitely straight away copyable. You have to enter it to actually play the games. If you don't have the key, you can't play it. Yeah, you can defeat it with key gens, but this doesn't actually have it where it needs to be cracked. The only thing I actually have a cracked version of the original Half-Life like this for is for backup purposes if this disc fails. Because as I've discovered, backing up the disc has not been successful in the slightest. Trying to play off it just goes insert proper Half-Life disc. And it's one of those games that, well, it does run without the disc, but it doesn't like the backup discs I create for genuine backup. I'm not actually trying to copy it to distribute it to other people, I just wanted to back it up. It's an old game, it's not sold. The only way you're going to get it is through Steam, and I can't stand Steam, so that is not good. Then of course Steam is not exactly amazing when it comes to refunds and all that lovely malarkey. So yeah, modern gaming really isn't for me anymore, pretty much. Once this console gen is out, it's done. I need to source myself a new 360 as well, because I'm not able to get mine back up and running again, which is really annoying. That you are pretty much forced to pay them again, and then I'm going to have to go through the process of actually transferring data from the original hard drive to the new hard drive. It's just like, because the new models don't use the same connectors. Why? It's just things like that really tick me off. If you've got any suggestions to appropriately finish off the original 360 in an imaginative way, send them in. I'm quite interested. And hopefully I'll see them all because YouTube's broken comment system, well, broken before, but it's even worse now. They've literally put it onto useless spectrum. Has completely ruined it. Has made it pretty much impossible to see through YouTube when you get comments, so I'm not really using that messaging system anymore. I use more my email, because I get email notifications, which thankfully have not been broken. That'd be the next thing they break though. This is from my Retro Games Week. I took it off for today for the first time since, when was it? Can't remember the date off the top of my head, but it was well, it was over the course of a weekend and I went on the Sunday. That's been on for a week or so now. Yeah, so modern gaming is not looking good anymore. It's not looking inviting. It's a shame because developers will continue to produce fantastic things, but I'll have to miss out on them because I don't agree with the business practices. So well done, massive corporations. You're going to lose yourself customers who are true gamers and have multiple systems as well as multiple computers that they play games on, and all that malarkey. And now on to Dead Space 3, which is another EA release. Now let's get into the things that pretty much straight away didn't please me when I instantly saw them. They had some online code thing you have to enter for online play, which does not please me at all. Especially as the Xbox 360 is not exactly wonderful to enter such things, because it doesn't have a keyboard and it doesn't even allow you to plug in a lot of USB keyboards, thanks to some stupid thing by Microsoft. Another thing that was more disappointing is the lack of horror. I mean, yeah, it's still fun to play, but the horror seems non-abundant, apart from the odd point where you might be jumped by a necromorph which makes you jump. There isn't much variety. Maybe it's because they didn't really try to make it scary. Maybe it's because that distracted me, that door opening. Maybe it's because, oh god, that's made me lose my train of thought. That's annoying. Maybe it is because I've played the other two and they've kind of thrown everything that the whole Dead Space series can at me. So I'm not really going to be made be particularly threatened playing through it. Another thing is they've limited you to 2 weapons. That did not please me, but surprisingly it doesn't take away from the game. I can't go into that why. And that's really about it on the sort of complaints so far playing through. Oh yeah, and it is actually really quite easy until the last bit I got up to, which is where you're waiting for this tram thing to come along, where suddenly from a like straight along easy street into zip up to insane levels difficulty. So that's quite a nice little surprise that the old Dead Space is still doing the whole arena fight where you are actually fighting for your life. That kind of pleases me, because it was a bit sad and that it was a bit too easy. Maybe it's because of the beginning of the game, but I have got it set to hard, so I would expect it to be starting to at least become challenging by now, and thankfully there's a bit which has done just that. Makes it ever the sweeter when you actually succeed at passing through it. The good points is it's still solid Dead Space. The story hasn't been disappointing so far. They've pretty much introduced you to the antagonist straight away, which wasn't so much done in the first 2. There was at least a point where you're like wandering around like, what the hell happened here? No, this is just spelled out straight what's happened here. The unitologists are straight at it. They're not trying to make it look like the unitologists aren't at it again. We did that in the previous games, especially the first one had a bit of a mystery. No point doing that. We're just like instant unitologist trying to kill you, and then you pretty much see the main antagonist pretty much within the first level. In fact, it's the end of the first level pretty much, before you escape on the ship into outer space. They've brought back the lovely sort of while Dead Space is linear, it's sort of the open linear. They've even opened it up that you can decide which spaceships to travel to, which is brilliant. It has the backtracking on the ship, so you could go back through previous areas, because they removed that on Dead Space 2, and I'm not exactly sure why, because I didn't have a problem with the backtracking in the first game. It sort of added a sensible, it didn't make the, what was it, Ishimahara seem like an infinitely big ship. It actually gave you a sort of sense of scale to the place. Yes, it was massive, but it wasn't infinite. You had a sense of scale to that place. With the New one, they've done this again, so you get a sense of scale to these smaller ships you're exploring, and there's still all the little nooks and crannies and secret rooms you can get in, or you have to build something to get in. Not so much sacrifice a power node anymore, and the weapon crafting mechanic. Plus, all with the abundance of benches. Benches are not a rare thing, which means you can swap to other weapons you create. The whole weapon mechanic is based around building your own weapons and actually adding real customization, which is something I've kind of wanted from building weapons in games for a long time. I remember with Fallout 3, it was like, wouldn't it be great if you could actually customise your weapons rather than it being these set prefixes. Well, in Dead Space 3 you can, and that's fantastic. You find the bits around, that's all good. The microtransactions won't be touching then, and I won't be getting the update, so they can't patch it, because there's actually a glitch in the game where you can get all the stuff you have to buy. So I'm not having that patch installed and so-called remedify that. We want it to be like that so we can still get everything, because I refuse to pay for stuff in a game which I've already paid for. Fair enough, adding on extra DLC later, but the whole microtransactions thing, that's a bad business practice, and I'm boycotting that altogether. Still going to play the game and enjoy it, but I'm not having anything to do with the microtransactions. I do not agree with such business practices. Unless you're doing, it works on a free-to-play game, like on the iOS type devices and Android, but not in a full scale, not in a full scale, full priced release. I have no doubt my brother paid full price for it, which is probably going to be something utterly ridiculous that I'm like, whoa, my brother certainly loves me a lot to pay that. Mind you, I've done the same for him. I mean, yeah, games were expensive on Nintendo, about 30 odd quid, but they weren't as expensive as they are now. No way. And it's solid, it's a little too easy, but it's fun to play through. I find I haven't really been concentrating much on the story. There seems to be more character development. Isaac has taken on more probably the role he should, where he's more sort of bossing everyone around, but when you've been through 2 necromorph uprisings and survived them, or you're kind of going to be an expert on surviving them. Your girlfriend on that one is found pretty quickly as well. It's not like the first one where it's a long drawn out whole of the game and then you find out she's dead, basically. Overall decent, it's just a shame they went in some areas they shouldn't have, but I love the weapon crafting. That is brilliant. So pretty much as you go through the game and collect all the parts, you can create some ridiculous super weapon. It's just the survival aspects, because ammo and health are a bit too plentiful. I mean, in the first game I found there was actually a problem where you did actually have to ration your ammo, and the same problem was encountered in Dead Space 2, but not as much. I didn't have such a problem with the ammo in that. It's like, no, my ammo's run out. My brother was like, yeah, that's the way these games go. It's like, yeah, it makes it more interesting when you've got low ammo. Although with the way Dead Space goes, it doesn't really give you the option. It does sometimes, but not often. It doesn't really give you the option to run away from the necromorphs, which is bad when you run out of ammo, especially for all weapons. It's like, run away, try and find some ammo. Fire off your last round and just about survive. Because close combating with the necromorphs always ends up in, well, either one of their French kisses of death, where they get a little too excited and rather than giving you a leisurely French kiss you have your face bitten off, or maybe you get slashed in half. But the death sequences are always entertaining to watch in Dead Space. Well, actually, that's a good point. On the death sequences, I know I haven't died a huge amount on Dead Space 3 because it's relatively easy. I haven't seen so many of these death sequences where you get stabbed through and it's like Isaac is struggling to survive and then it slices off each limb one at a time and then before like doing the killing blow on you. Haven't seen so much of that, which is a bit of a shame because I always found they were quite entertaining, sort of gruesome death sequences. As you were just one limb at a time severed and you just saw your character just sort of trying to cling to life before the killing blow was thrown down. It's sort of like you just kind of die and then you just sort of fall apart like a ceramic thing. Ceramic mannequin just like fall into a spree of bits on the floor, which doesn't always make sense. Like your body parts aren't really attached, they're attached with paper mache and hot glue. Ow! Hate it when you hit the funny bone because it certainly ain't funny. Oh good, we've lost focus. Fantastic. There we go, it's gone back into focus. But yeah, that's Dead Space 3. Decent game, I'd recommend you get it and play it, and this strand of hair is annoying me because it's just sort of out of place. Go away. Does it fit in my mouth? Not quite. But yeah, I'd recommend you have a play on it. That's good fun. Where did the video go just then? I just saw the video. I'm not sure what glitch that was, but anyway. That is all for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Wasn't that 30 a minute ago? Don't tell me YouTube's broken this feature as well. That would annoy me. Thanks for watching.